Are you like me and had little to no parental supervision when it came to media like television and the internet, meaning you could stumble upon pretty much anything, specifically things a 6-year-old child should just never see, so it alters your brain chemistry and changes the way you talk to people and has you thinking about things you should never think about because you're like 6? Oh, you're not? Growing up as the younger sibling of 3 and with a single mother who was at work all the time, there was never really much control over what I could and couldn't watch. Typically, I would just watch whatever was on, which would happen to be whatever my older siblings were watching at the time. And as they're 4 and 5 years older than me, it was always a show that was not suitable for kids. I remember one time I was in the room while they were watching American Pie. Yes, I know, probably the worst movie you could choose. But my sister pointed out to my brother and was like, hey, should he be watching this? My brother looked at me and was like, he'll be fine, he's 5, he doesn't understand what's going on. But little did he know, I was absorbing everything. I was growing, absorbing every single bad word and sexual reference into my hard drive like I was Ultron. They thought I was your average 5-year-old just sitting there mindlessly, thinking about whatever it is 5-year-olds think about. But nah, a menace was being born. The first show I had absolutely no business watching as a child was Family Guy. This is one of the first shows I remember watching like ever, apart from Dragon Ball Z, of course, the GOAT. But anyway, Family Guy is an amazing show and definitely still one of my all-time favorites. And I'm talking about 2000s Family Guy, by the way, not whatever this is. But anyway, if any of you guys watching this has ever watched Family Guy, then you know exactly why this is being mentioned in this video. This is a show that people had such an issue with that they even managed to get it cancelled 2 times during the 2000s for its dark humor and indecent content. Think about it. These are grown adults that couldn't stomach the show's vulgarity. And then there's just me, a 6-year-old child discovering dark humor for the very first time, feeling like I just got my hands on my first ever Infinity Stone. I'm not gonna lie, Family Guy was a huge catalyst in the alteration of my brain. Like, I genuinely believe every grown-up concept you intentionally try and shield from kids, I learned through Family Guy from the ages of 6, 7, 8 years old. And some of them genuinely scarred me. Like, I'll never forget season 8, episode 21, Partial Terms of Endearment. This was the first time I'd ever been introduced to the concept of abortions, and I just couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, wait, you mean to tell me we're out here killing babies? Yo, I thought humanity was doomed. I was like, yo, go ahead and nuke this whole generation. I'll also never forget being a child watching one episode, and it was the first time I ever learned about, you know, that white stuff, Booger Sugar, Miley Cyrus, whatever you want to call it. And 7-year-old me was so amused that I ran to school the next day and told all my friends, really anyone who would listen to me, about what I saw. And I'm doing this in the middle of class, describing it in extreme detail, thinking I was safe for some reason. But little did I know, my teacher was eavesdropping the whole time. But she intentionally made sure to make it look like she wasn't listening. So she stayed silent, waited until class was over, and then called my mum. Now obviously I am not aware of this, so I think everything's good. I'm skipping home, I open the door, and I see my mum sitting there like this. Yeah, I knew what time it was when I opened that door. Straight B2A, received the ass whooping of my life. And the crazy part is, I watched Family Guy as soon as she left to work.
I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your eye.
Another show I low-key had no business watching as a child was The Boondocks. Now, I say I had no business watching the show, but if I'm being honest, as a black person, you're kind of obligated to watch this. Just maybe not when you're 8 years old. The Boondocks is an early 2000s animated series that was mainly made for black and African American audiences. This show follows an African American family of a granddad and his 2 grandsons. This comedy show depicts exaggerated stereotypes and characters that represent common different types of black people you'll meet, and I guess just an overall exaggerated depiction of the African American experience. Except, looking back on it 20 years later, it might not have been that exaggerated after all, and perhaps just ahead of its time. Boondocks, just like Family Guy, changed my whole brain chemistry, but just in a completely different way. Guys, I shit you not, I didn't know I was black until I watched The Boondocks. Okay, well that's not entirely true. I knew I looked different, but I didn't think that was the issue. I thought people just didn't really like me. And then I watched The Boondocks and I was like, oh, it's because I'm black.
Well, I'm black now. So the first thing I did was quit all my jobs. I don't know how I'm supposed to pay the bills. Probably have to start selling crack, or rapping, or rapping about selling crack.
It's also how I found out what the word nigger was, and that not everyone could say it. See now, I went to a predominantly white school, but instead of feeling sad, feeling like an outcast, I felt inspired. See, what I saw was an opportunity. So I go back to school, and again, I tell anyone that would listen about this new word I've learned, but this time I'm making sure my lame ass teacher wasn't listening this time. A lot of the kids already knew what this word was and meant, and like I said, I'm the only black person in this whole class, so that in itself is already very alarming. But anyway, I told everyone that they couldn't say it, and if they did, I'd go to the teacher and they'd get in loads of trouble. Unless you had one of these. Yes, I physically created nigger passes on pieces of paper and sold them individually for €1 each. Say what you want, I do not care. I was the only black guy in my class for years in the Republic of Ireland. I might as well use it to my benefit in some way. But yo, for like a good 2 weeks, I was feeling like Franklin saying. I had the whole class putting money in my pocket for a good 2 weeks. And it would have been longer, but of course, someone snitched, and you can probably guess how that went. Now, this last show is a bit controversial because this technically labeled a kid's show, but I don't care, I'm putting it on anyway. The last show I believe I had no business watching as a kid was the Goosebumps. Sorry, but what the actual fuck was this show, and why was it so genuinely scary? You cannot convince me this was a kid's show. This show should have been a 15 at least. I'm 22 years old now, and there's still certain episodes I'm scared to watch. Like, look at this and tell me with a straight face that this isn't just pure nightmare fuel. Right, now imagine being 5-6 years old watching this. Who decided this was okay? I need to speak to someone at Jetix or Mr. R.L. Stein himself. I mean, even just look at the guy. He looks shady as hell. Even just look at the way he's smirking at all of his pics. He knows damn well the shit he writes in for kids. I used to have genuine night terrors and sleep paralysis from this show, specifically about this episode, or 3 episodes I should say, about this ventriloquist dummy, Slappy. First of all, just look at him. Do I really need to say any more? But yo, this guy is the reason I have such a crippling fear of dolls and anything of the sort. I mean, it's true, Chucky had a big part to play in that too, because around the same time I had watched Child's Play. I know, what an amazing childhood. But the fear Slappy put in me was just completely different. Because at least Chucky would kill you, but if Slappy caught you lacking, he's gonna come put his stinky ass breath on you and turn you into a dummy for all eternity. That is 10 times worse than death. And that's very much a reoccurring theme with the Goosebumps show, and why I don't think it's for kids at all. Because they can't actually show children dying, the author often comes up with very much worse fates for these kids than death, like child abduction. Everyone knows when you're a kid, there's very few things scarier than the thought of being kidnapped by some creepy old man and being slapped in his basement. But of course, they made an episode about that too. And that's it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed this, please do like and subscribe. And there's still quite a few shows I left out, so if you do want to see a part 2, just let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.